Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we're going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Anthony fought in the Sekai Taikai during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? So in this timeline, Carmen would still be rushed to the hospital, and Johnny and Miguel would have to leave, and Danny would call for Anthony to take Miguel's place. Anthony and Amanda would arrive in Barcelona, and Daniel and Sam would be happy to see them. The Miyagi students would still go explore Barcelona, and they would still be at the tapas bar, and Sam and Robbie would be worried about Carmen. This is when the Cobra Kais would show up, and Sam would still go outside to get some air. Quan would still want to mess with Robbie, so Quan and Robbie would start to have a rivalry. Zara would notice the connection between Tori and Robbie, and she would still want to mess with Tori, so those events would stay the same. Sam would still be walking down the beach, and she would still run into Axel. She would still compliment Axel on his kata, and the interaction between Sam and Axel would stay the same. Miguel and Johnny would be on the plane back to the valley, and they would be worried about Carmen. Miguel and Johnny would arrive in the valley, and they would go to the hospital, and they would go see Carmen, and in this timeline, they would decide to stay in the valley. Johnny would tell Daniel that they were staying in the valley. Miyagi would still fight Furia de Pantera. Dimitri would still start off, and he still wouldn't be doing so well, and they would still land a point on Dimitri, and Dimitri would tag in Sam. Sam would continue fighting, and she would still get a point, so Sam would tag in Devin. Devin would continue fighting, but Furia de Pantera would get a point on Devin, so Anthony would continue the fight, but Furia de Pantera would land the last point on Anthony. So much like in the original timeline, Furia de Pantera would still beat Miyagi, and Miyagi would still be close to elimination. And during the next team match, Miyagi would fight Redentores. Hawk would start off. He would use a combination of offense and defense, and he would tag in Dimitri. Dimitri would continue the fight, and he would get the second point, and eventually he would tag in Robbie. Robbie would continue to fight, and he would get the final point. So Miyagi would beat Redentores in this timeline, and they would still advance in their matches. Miyagi would still fight Cobra Kai, and Robbie and Tori would still start off. Robbie would still be distracted, and he would still tag in Sam. Sam and Tori would fight, but Tori would tag in Quan, and he would manage to land a point on Sam. Quan would still tag out, so Sam would tag in Dimitri, and he would get the second point. Yoon and Dimitri would continue the fight, and much like in the original timeline, Hawk, Kenny, and Dimitri would team up to get the point on Yoon. But in this timeline, Hawk wouldn't tag out, and he would face Quan. Hawk and Quan would fight, but Quan would land a point on Hawk, so Quan would get the final point. So in this timeline, Cobra Kai would defeat Miyagi, and Miyagi would be eliminated, and those events would carry on. Quan would make fun of the Miyagi for losing, and he would go celebrate with the rest of the Cobra Kais. Miyagi would be disappointed that they lost. Tiger Strike would still be eliminated for cheating during the Miyagi would still be let back in. Quan would get mad that Miyagi was back in the Sekai Taikai, and those events would continue. The semi-finals would begin. In this timeline, Diego would fight Robbie. The match would be close, but Robbie would defeat Diego. Zara and Maria would fight, but Zara would still defeat Maria. But Axel would fight Quan in the semi-finals, so Quan and Axel would fight. Quan would be fighting aggressively, and he would be using offense, but Axel would be able to fight back against Quan. Quan would continue fighting Axel, and he would continue fighting with aggression, and Quan would start to get even angrier, but Axel would use a combination of offense and defense. So in this timeline, Axel would defeat Quan. Sam and Tori would fight, and they would both use a combination of offense and defense. The match would be close, so in this timeline, Tori would defeat Sam, so she would advance to the finals. So Robbie and Axel would fight in the finals. Robbie would try to get some points on Axel, but by now Axel would be more aggressive, and he would get some points on Robbie. So in this timeline, Axel would defeat Robbie. Zara would fight Tori. Zara would be aggressive, and she would land some points on Tori. Tori would be using a combination of offense and defense. She would manage to land a point on Zara, so Zara would get more aggressive, and she would defeat Tori. So the Iron Dragons would win. Miyagi and Cobra Kai would go home in defeat. Sensei Kim and her students would go back to Korea, and Tori would go back to the valley. Even though Miyagi lost, Miyagi would remain open, and Tori would rejoin Miyagi, and things would be a lot more peaceful in the valley. Quan and the rest of the Cobra Kais would go back to Korea, and Quan would continue his training at Master Kim's dojang, and they would start training for the next Sekai Taikai. And that is where I'm gonna end this what if. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Anthony fought in the Sekai Taikai during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time. next time.